video. Well, what's up?
What is up, everybody? So Erin and I decided to go for a ride out to the Mogadore Reservation on an absolutely beautiful Sunday afternoon. Our plan was to make it as mixed terrain as possible, with neighborhood roads, industrial gravel, bike paths of multiple surfaces, some dirt, and even more. Going out for days like this just reminds me more and more of being a kid, when you'd hop on your bike and say, "Hey mom, heading out for a bike ride," and it would be like, "Okay, be home in time for dinner." And then you're just out there exploring, finding new roads, whether you're just going through neighborhoods you didn't know and stuff like that, which we still do. But more and more over the years, have we found these different abandoned railroads and access roads and neighborhood cuts and all the abandoned industrial gravel stuff we have here in the Rust Belt. It just really gives you that sense again of freedom and going out for a day of exploring. And I don't feel like I'm someone in my mid-40s when this is how I've spent a day out in the sun. I love watching videos of people riding in amazing places in the world, whether that's somewhere awesome in Europe or in the Rockies or somewhere on the coast. But I've always thought about the way we ride and what we experience is probably more relatable to a lot more people who live in cities that are the size of Akron or something like that. Just the way to go and explore your own town, find new places, always mix it up, always keep it interesting. I don't know, that's kind of my philosophy on life. I love taking vacations and doing those epic rides, but there's nothing wrong with trying to turn a Sunday into something new and unique as well. Erin and I were originally planning to jump in the car and drive and do more of a gravel ride in a really pretty place that we've heard about a number of times. We decided to save that route till a little later in the summer because there's a swimming spot and maybe till more friends were available. I have to say, though, in general, there's one thing to me that really feels like freedom, and that's riding out my front door and going where we want to go. If you saw my last video, which I know you did because more people have seen my last video than anything else, you just see like a lot of people think we're crazy for riding in traffic or riding where we ride. I don't know. I can't give that up. That is to me the pure, like I said, freedom of going where I want, when I want. And there's just an inherent risk in anything you do in life. And I find you make calculated risks all the time. And this is low risk activity. And I feel like it's totally worth it. This is just what makes my day. And I fully understand there are some places that are much more dangerous where there just are not good places to ride your bike. And I feel bad for people who live in places like that, or for people who have just really let it get to them that bikes are not safe. That's not the truth. I don't know. Variety is the spice of life, as they say, and riding everywhere is what I want to do. Anyways, back to that idea of being kids. What is more kids than sitting outside of what used to be a Dairy Mart, probably eating your snacks before jumping back on the road and riding through this old town center? Here we are getting into the Mogadore Reservoir area. It's where they had dammed up the Little Cuyahoga River. Part of it was flood control, part of it was for untreated water for use in industries. This is state land, and now it's just for recreational use. thought often about the fact that you can ride bikes here. There's no bike signs. No one's ever said anything to us about it. But I think one of the reasons you can get away with it and they haven't had to control it is just there's not really like a lot of trailheads or access. As you saw how we got into the beginning of the trail from that one side under a fence, there are other places where cars can be parked and there are some neighborhoods that kind of connect. But I think it's just such long stretches of trail that there's just not that many people out here, and the bikes are not a nuisance yet. I feel like if people started driving here and parking their cars and riding bikes all the time, then maybe that would change. That being said, coming out here on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in the middle of the day, we are definitely more cautious and not just ripping around at top speed around blind corners. You do have to be conscious that there are going to be people out here hiking, and you see a lot of people out here fishing, so they're walking in with their fishing gear and all that kind of stuff. So it's one of those things of being respectful, and hopefully that leads to bikes being able to be here for a long time. So you can see here that this is the dam that creates the reservoir. This is the time of year where you really have to be careful with the geese, as they have their little ones with you and they will attack. These ones fortunately ran away. We always seem to have more issues with them over on bike paths where they just kind of don't get that. Can you kindly move off to the side with your little ones? My group ride and I do sometimes come out here in the off season, and it's usually around sunset. And on those nights we find that we could kind of really rip it up around here, like ride a lot faster. They're just not going to see anyone else out. I mean, not that you could throw caution to the wind if you're hitting blind curves and stuff, but there was a night where we were out here riding like 18, 19. I remember my rear end kind of hit a rough patch and went into the air. It's one of those things where you have way too many thoughts in your head for that split second. I mean, I was picturing myself in the hospital with a broken collarbone and all that, pulled the bike back under me, landed it, and then my friend Micah was like, "Man, are your pants still dry after that?" Because he was behind me and saw the whole thing. And it's one of those, like a miracle where you cannot believe you saved yourself from going down hard. We did not have a lunch stop planned on this trip or anything, so as you saw, we just sat back there at a pretty spot on the reservoir, had a beer, ate some peanuts and snacks before moving on. That's also where we made our plan for the route home. We didn't have one, so we worked out a way to get home with a couple new roads. We went fairly direct, so these roads were a mix. They weren't horrible, but there was a decent amount of traffic, but it took us back to the Freedom Trail, which is what we used to get back into downtown Akron.
Why?
My Legos. Say Lego. My Legos.
So here I am successfully making my way across the Y Bridge for the 621st time since I've had Strava. We rode about 33 miles on this ride. After I got home, I worked on some photos. I was super busy last week, petted my cat for a little bit, and then it was Mother's Day and we do dinner, so it was still beautiful out and there's so much daylight right now. I decided I'd ride over to my parents as well. It's about 10 miles out, so about 10 miles back, so giving me a Sunday of about 53 miles in total. My route to and from my parents is not the most direct one. One part of it lending to the Cuyahoga Valley, just making nothing straight around here as the Cuyahoga River curves around all over, and I have to go from my side of town to the west side of town, which always entails either going way out of your way for bridges or going along through the valley. Anyways, it's one of those things in life that I've mentioned before. I'd rather put in an extra couple miles to have a prettier route, so the Towpath Trail and then Sand Run Parkway are just both nice places to ride your bike. Anyways, thanks as always for watching. I appreciate it. If you want to support the channel a little more, consider becoming a channel member. There's links for all that below, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.